For the latest top tips, reviews and advice, please subscribe below.
Hello and welcome to Attwoolls Outdoors with me, Mike. Today I'm giving you a bit of a review video about a brand new tent from Vango. So over here today I have got the Vango Lismore Air. So the Lismore Air is available in two sizes, i.e. a 450 and a 600 XL. With me today I've got the 600 XL. Essentially the concept and the basically features that are throughout these tents are exactly the same, it's just over the sizes that necessarily changes. It's almost worth mentioning actually that not only is this tent available in air, but you also can get it in poled. And if you do want something a little bit different, you can also get the same tent itself in a polycotton material, both in poled and air. So you can really pick and choose your size, your material, and then your frame, where you want poled, air, polyester, polycotton, 450, 600 XL. So it's a really nice sort of range to pick and choose from. Really, it kind of almost takes over from the Vango Stargrove, but there's a lot more to it probably than the Stargrove. It almost sits in almost a specification level above what that necessarily was. There are a notable amount of differences. One, of course, being the actual colour itself. So basically for the new 23 season going forward, Vango have gone for the like a mineral green colour. Really quite nice, but there's a bit more of a story behind the fabric itself. So what they've really got down to doing is actually increasing their colour resilience. And to do this, they've actually changed the way they dye the material. So what they necessarily do is, rather than sort of dye the material when it's obviously pre-woven, they dye the thread itself. This basically allows the colour to go throughout the whole of the thread rather than just maybe on the outer layer, which you would get with the fabric. The best kind of analogy I can probably use to this would be the difference between, say, a carrot and a radish. The carrot being the thread dyed, the radish being the material dyed. Now what happens is over time the UV strips away the outer layer, and basically then it starts to fade, look a bit tired and washed out, and it's basically then it's the white sort of pigment white sort of coming through as such. Whereas with this new collection we've got here, because it's sort of dyed at thread level, generally that colour is throughout. So when you cut it in half, you get pure colour rather than the outer and that whiter layer. Other things they also do, by doing that process, they save 60% of water during that process. So it's also eco-friendly. So it's a kind of a, two birds kind of one stone scenario. You get a better material, a higher colour sort of resilience, but also it's more environmentally friendly to produce. Other things to mention is obviously it's a 3000mm hydrostatic head, so it's a really nice sensible material. Runs around about sort of 65D material. We kind of moved over a little bit to sort of gram per square meters to be a bit precise, but that's kind of where in the ballpark you're looking at. This model obviously is inflatable, so it's very quick and easy to pitch. You can see from my own Attwoolls pitching and packing video, myself putting this up in the best part of sort of about 10 minutes. Each beam is done individually and comes as standard with a manual stirrup pump. It uses Vango's airspeed valve, so it's essentially a pump part that the gauge itself would lock directly onto the tube, so like a bayonet locking. You can pump it up and you get a live reading on the actual gauge itself. Generally, to pack away, it's also quite nice and easy. Now, it's essentially as a free zone tent. You've got sleeping, living, and then a sort of enclosed front awning section. You've got the ability to kind of open up the front door, be it halfway or fully open, or of course close it if you want to keep the elements out. One of the joys of this as well is the fact that by opening it all out, you sort of bring the outsides in, and there's an element level of more mesh built into this than, again, its predecessor. None can be more obvious than the side door we've got located here. So what we've got now is a really nice mesh side door, and then you've got a zip curtain behind it to get the privacy and obviously shut off that airflow when you want to. The side door itself can also double up to be a little mini canopy. So what you can actually do is buy some additional king poles and basically bring this out. Now, to do so, what you're going to utilise is the elasticated loops that you would normally peg through. So you can just bring that out directly, give yourself a little bit of a canopy and a bit more of a shelter to it. So again, that works quite nicely. Also worth mentioning, on this door here, you've got a little lip that comes up, so you can keep the sealed in or lay it flat to create a little bit, so basically avoid having a trip hazard. all works really quite nice. You got great clarity on the windows. They're sort of their Diamond Pro windows, and then you've got low level ventilation to help increase airflow. You've got also kind of 2 tonal guide points as well, so it allows you to sort of see the main kind of trip hazard when you have it out, but necessarily doesn't clash too much with the overall colour of it as well. And actually, to be fair, the orange kind of colour really matches kind of the Vango kind of logo, so it is quite nice from that point of view. What we can do, let's kind of swing the camera around, look directly down into the tent, and talk through a load more features that Lismore does have to offer. So now kind of around the front of the tent, you can probably appreciate kind of the overall sort of depth in it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this part here, and just roll that back nice and neatly. So you've got toggle points, so you can, like I said, have the door sort of half open, or of course, as I'm about to show you, fully open. There's also an additional zip puller on there as well. So what you can actually do if you wanted to is kind of open the sort of the top part of the door, so you have a little bit more of a kind of an airflow directly through here. Now, you've got 2 windows either side of the actual tent itself, so you've got plenty of light coming directly in. When we move into kind of the main section, you get that same sort of drop-down door that I previously mentioned on the side. So you have the option that you can actually have your seal, but the difference being on this one here, it's got 2 toggle points in the middle and a Velcro patch, so it's really quite designed to make sure it's a proper seal, rather than actually worrying about having a flap with the wind and getting the air come in. So again, that works really quite nicely. The canopy depth is probably just enough that you can actually put probably a cooking unit more than happily kind of in the side, and generally I probably would put it more towards this side, just because the door opens up in that way. Naturally this is going to be your kind of main sort of run through, but really when you're sort of cooking, ideally you want the door fully open anyway, just to have that circulation of air, especially if you are using gas. The front panel seeds basically from the awning section into the main living area. You've got 2 windows either side. Basically they're both mesh, so you have the airflow running throughout the tent. And on the door itself, you have that same setup that we had on the side door. So you have, again, kind of a full mesh door, as we can see here. But then you've got the flexibility that you can zip the curtains up sort of halfway to have some privacy while airflow, or fully up to top to get everything all nice and tidily out of the way. But again, that sort of whole sort of bug-free barrier on the front works really quite nicely. So when you've got a light on in the middle of the night in here, you're not having all the bugs coming directly for you. So having that mesh sort of barrier located at the front, the side as well, the side door, and then obviously lower level beneath all of the main windows, again, that also is quite nice. Now, you've got kind of almost like a pre-angled beam structure. So what it's designed to do is to make it feel a little bit bigger inside of here than you may think. But it also means that essentially you can put furniture and stuff closest to the end to maximise your main space. So headroom height, certainly in the middle, is quite all right. When we get to the corners, you are lacking it a little bit. I definitely would say it's better on the 450 size than it is the excuse me, the 600 XL, just from I think the way the pre-arches work. And later on in this video we'll look at the 450 size to give you a bit more of an idea on how that looks. Other features that you have listed in the Lismore is things like Vango's tension band system. So it's a TBS system that allows you to give additional internal bracing. So if you get sort of windy conditions, you can pop them in. It then retains triangle formation with the guy ropes to give you a bit more internal structure. So when you have wind blowing from the side, it stops the roof from dipping down and keeps it all really nice and taut. Something they've used in their kind of high-end backpacking tents. Something you probably would put in only if you're sort of going out for the day and just want that little bit of extra point. So you've got one just in front of the bedroom sections and then one directly in front of here. Other things to mention are things like hanging point for a lantern located centrally into the main living area, but also one above the bedroom, so you can really kind of have light without having to worry about having a sort of an actual lantern on top of a desk, for example. When we're in here, we've got 2 window panels to get the crystal clear windows, but we've got then toggle up curtains to get the privacy as we want to. It's a really nice kind of pattern and colour to it as well, and you can put them halfway or fully up to top depending on how you want to play it. In the next panel back, we've obviously got the window with the mesh built into it, and then a nice blank panel to kind of create that sort of dead end space. Typically, I'd say when you go to the 450, it drops down in size, so it's in one larger berth bed bay rather than sort of two decent sized bays. So again, that's that bit of a conflab from there. When we look in the bedroom section, we've got kind of Vango's sort of darker bedroom, so it's a bit more of a darker colour, a darker tone, hopefully to reduce a bit more early morning light to get a better night's sleep. With the 600 XL, you have 2, 2 and 2 setup. Alternatively, all the dividers are toggle dividers, so you can open them up to have it really as a 4 and a 2, 2 and a 4, or fully open as a wherever you want to sleep, sort of 6. Again, with these as well, they've each got their own individual doors, quite nice and neatly, and then storage pockets in the two sort of end bedrooms on either side. In fact, let's bring the camera in to have a bit more of a look. So, as we can see, probably depth of the canopy. Please disregard the curtains on the windows. This is a pre-production sample. So yeah, open curtains because the front is all nice and open. Then we've got the mesh part to itself, so that little lip with those extra parts. So you still get sort of a good amount of visibility. It's not quite as crystal clear as the windows you see there, but it still allows a good amount of light directly through. Toggle points, so I've got the one on this side here sort of halfway up, so again you can still see through, but you also get a little element of privacy as well. You've got a hanging point for a lantern located at the front here, as well as little Velcro tabs. So on this model, what you do find is you do have your cable entry points. Cable entry points are featured just down the bottom of here by the bedroom section, and I believe there should also be one at the front, he says. Yes, there is. There's one at the front, just located just in the corner down there. As you can see, the darker bedrooms work quite nicely. The storage pockets are located down the side here again, just keeps it all nice and tidy, and you can see the difference in kind of the overall part itself. There is a hanging point, last time I checked, inside the bedroom as well, so you can have a lantern more than happily hanging up from there. But you can see how the bedroom toggle can just toggle out quite nice and neatly. And then, again, we've got that lip on the side door. You can see how that works as well. So again, you've got your two kind of toggle points and then a Velcro point just to keep it all really quite nice and neatly. As we kind of come out and look at it, it sits really well, especially when you have that sort of door rolled away. But I'll tell you what, let's quickly wander over and check out the 450 size, just to give you a bit more of an idea. So this is the 450 size again, just to give you a bit more of an idea of how it sees in difference. So you can see we've got kind of one less air chamber. This is the poled version, but from a size point of view, it's exactly the same. Again, you've still got your free zones. So you've got your sort of sleeping area at the back, living area, and then sort of your front canopy area, with the door still does kind of to halfway or fully closed. Windows obviously still nice and bright. One mesh window to the right there, and then one normal one with the same kind of curtain design as we've seen, and then a 50-50 split from the bedroom point of view, again with that toggle divider quite nice and neatly there. The one thing is worth mentioning, actually, to be fair, is the fact that the space per person is larger in the 450, so you get 70 centimeters per person, where in the 600 XL you get 60 centimeters, so more space overall per person. But again, like I said, from a size point of view, I think it's perfect for small families or even couples to that extent, but offers something a little bit different. And you've got sort of still ventilation at the back, just to help maximise kind of airflow. But we'll kind of finish on the 600 and talk through a few or five things of what that has to offer. So overall, I think the Lismore is a really nice tent. It pretty much takes off where the Stargrove left off. One thing I do also quite like the fact is actually it's worth making a note that as standard you get a footprint ground sheet supplied with the actual tent itself, both of the models, or any of the Lismore models that matter, and it normally comes in two parts, one for the main body of the tent and one for that front section. So again, you have a ground sheet naturally down there, and it's one thing you don't have to worry about. And I think from when you look at monetary value point of view, it's something that would normally be in the region of sort of £70, £60, depending on your size. And that's, again, something you get included in the price. You've kind of got to take that into factor when you consider it against another tent, that it's not quite like for like from that point of view. But lots of more talking points. I do like the fact that they've gone to physically dyeing the thread rather than necessarily dyeing the material. The extra ventilation points, I think the colour actually is definitely warm to me, something I wasn't a bit overly sure on to begin with, but something that works really quite nicely. But we know from a concept and size wise it works really, really well. And now the fact that you have the option of 4 different versions of it, be it this in poled, this in air, the polycotton poled or polycotton air, you can really kind of bespoke how you want to be with the same design all the way through. For more questions and queries, feel free to comment in the box below and let us know what you think. It's always great to have feedback from yourself. But if you've got any more questions or want any more information for that matter on the Lismore range, you can check the link below this video. It'll take you straight through to our website where we've got all the things from prices, floor plans, individual features, pack sizes, floor dimensions, the works. You can check it out there, as well as obviously our pitching and packing videos as well. So we've got all that located nice and easily for you to see that in one happy, easy place. This is kind of our little overview review on the Lismore Air in the polyester model. Check out the other video reviews we've done as well, but that in all I think is a really nice improvement, and certainly one I think that's going to be very popular tent going forward for Vango. So thank you very much for watching. Hopefully we shall see you again soon in that next video.